How's it going, guys? My name is Graham and welcome to Two Left Thumbs. Recently I've been on a personal mission to find a new TYCOON game that I want to play here on the channel. As luck would have it, there's been 3 pretty major ones that have come out very recently, all of which looked appealing in their own ways. I had a lot of difficulties choosing which one would be right for me, so I wanted to share some of my insights and findings across these 3 different games to help you decide which one might be right for you. The 3 games in question are Point Hospital, Megaquarium, and Parkasaurus. I want to give you guys a quick and dirty overview of each of the games to give you guys a sense of what to expect. I tried recording this once already and it was going to be like a 30-minute video, so I'm going to try and make this a little more succinct. Starting rather generally about the 3 games. All 3 games sport very cartoony styles, but they do vary across the titles. Their approaches to building and measuring success are all very different. If you've ever played anything like Theme Hospital, Roller Coaster Tycoon, or even like an online lemonade stand, you probably get the gist of it. Now let's start zooming in individually. First up, let's talk about Point Hospital. This is the spiritual successor to Theme Hospital, so if you played that back in the day, this will be immediately more appealing to you. I should warn, it is the priciest of the 3 games, so that might impact your decision. I would honestly say Point is probably the most polished overall, with everything looking exquisite. The animations are fantastic. You start with these framed hospital spaces that are empty and need to be filled with different rooms and equipment. The staff and equipment will help you diagnose and treat patients who are coming in constantly. There's a lot of trade-offs and concessions to be made here. You might treat some illnesses more favorably than others. Now and again, you won't have the means to treat a patient. You might have to send them away or risk them dying. In addition to the instruments needed to treat these patients, you also need to keep them happy and satisfied. If they get restless or aggravated, they'll leave the hospital and you miss out on that potential revenue. You have to be very careful about how you utilize the space that you have. Sometimes you're given multiple buildings to work with, but even then you're going to want to make sure you're spacing things out accordingly. When you complete a hospital, you get to open up a new hospital and go from there. The good thing is that a lot of what you researched carries over. Even though your physical space is starting over from square one, what you've learned is not. If you're looking for a game where you can put your own personal spin on things, this probably isn't the one for you. Your layouts need to be practical and efficient to maximize capital. One of the main appeals of the game is its outrageous sense of humor. The conditions themselves are goofy, there's ghosts that roam the halls, the animations and reactions to things are all very funny, the diseases are ludicrous, the treatments are preposterous, and it's just packed with puns. But a lot of it does feel like background, because you're probably going to be frantically building things the whole time. With the start of each new level, you're likely to feel very rushed. You start setting up your basic rooms and hiring staff to fill all the positions, but then each round the game starts backing off slowly as you tweak things to better suit your needs. While the game is silly, it's not very casual. I have seen some users say that they breezed through it, didn't even think it was a challenge, but others have found the clumsy AI and unreliable patience to be a big hindrance to success. Updates are being rolled out relatively slowly and they are adding major quality of life features, some of which have been very highly requested by the community, so it appears the developers are paying attention and the game will only improve from here. A few standout issues I saw was that you can often be flooded by these guests that you don't have the means to support and brings the whole thing crashing down. It doesn't feel like there's a lot you can do to stop that. The fact that you have to start over your hospital every time, things can feel a little bit repetitive, and there is no sandbox mode to really just screw around with. But some things that really did well, you can return to the old hospitals and apply research you've learned at later stages, and if you have friends with the game, you can link up with them to view their progress and successes in the various hospitals. I would say the updated humor, visuals, and animation are all worth it, but really the gameplay hasn't changed that much since Theme Hospital. So if you want a much cheaper experience, you can pick that up for like $10 on GOG. I would definitely recommend the game. I think it's a fun experience, but it might be a teensy bit overpriced at the moment. Next up is Megaquarium, our mid-ranged game focused on setting up your own aquarium. I would say the art style here is pretty simple, straightforward, the fish themselves look nice. But outside of that, I think things look a little lackluster, and one aquarium to the next will look a little bit cookie cutter. There's some nitpicky things, like the workers don't actually hold objects that they're carrying. The focus here is on balancing your aquarium's various quality measurements. There's heat, filtration, vegetation, diversity of groups that can and can't be housed together, and there's many new mechanics that are slowly rolled out as you play. There's less of a singular tutorial and more of an overarching story mode that teaches these mechanics to you. Beyond that, you're free to do as you wish in a sandbox mode. And while there is a lot you can do to personalize your aquarium, things are mostly going to be glass aquariums set in a blue-walled building with pieces of seaweed in them. There's a surprising amount of complexity here, and it's relatively easy to follow. If you stick to the rules, the game might feel a little hard to fail. Personally, I found one of the hardest things was managing your space. You stick an aquarium in a wall, you set up your heater and your filtration, all of a sudden there's not space for your workers to access the food to feed the fish. I think the game does support some personal touches, but if you like that spatial management sort of stuff, then you'll really enjoy this. You'll quickly learn from those poor design choices and learn how to better plan ahead in the future. I think the game is at its strongest when you start tinkering around with the sandbox mode. Then it becomes a much more casual experience. The tools for expanding your building are very robust, and there's plenty of configurations of how you can lay out your walls and aquariums. It's just that all of that itself can look pretty repetitive. There are loads of fish options, so if you're into marine biology, this might be for you. If you want a nice relaxed, casual experience, this will also fit well. You can zoom right in and watch your aquariums alongside your guests. The guests themselves are very generic and forgettable. There's not a lot of personality or diversity there, so if you like interacting with people in your Tycoon games, this doesn't really have that. Issues that stood out with Megaquarium, I felt like I was often waiting for the next task to present itself. That's a personal negative for me, but you might enjoy that. But on the other side, in instances where I wanted there to be downtime, I was being continually interrupted by pop-ups and notifications. The UI itself is quite functional, but once you start inspecting multiple tanks and getting notifications and alerts, it all becomes very cluttered and messy. I love the way that you can expand the buildings in here, but they don't have similar tools for expanding the tanks. Can be very frustrating to have to tear down an entire tank simply because you'd like to make it one space wider. But this game is being updated very frequently. Tons of balancing and bug fixes as well as quality of life additions. The game itself already supports mods, with workshop integration coming later. I really enjoyed the casual aspect of this game. There's even this pleasant soundtrack that feels like it would be right at home in an actual aquarium. The ability to stop, take a breath, and witness your creations is pretty enjoyable. I wouldn't quite overall recommend this game, but there is a niche who are going to find this ideal. And finally, the one that I have personally enjoyed the most and am most excited to share with you guys is Parkasaurus. This one is actually the cheapest one, but that reflects the fact that it is also an early access title. This one is very bright and very cartoonish, and it uses low poly in a very appealing way. I really like that the game leaned into the fact that it wasn't going to have realistic graphics, so it instead went bright and colorful and silly. I found the tutorial here to be very refreshing. It guided me through things quickly, but comprehensively, and then just left me to do my thing. Right now the game is basically sandbox only. A story mode will be coming later. Building in this game is very freeform. You get to utilize as much space as possible, and believe me, these dinosaurs are going to want a lot of space. Building was my favorite part of this game, much more so than the other two, like far and away more than the other two. There's so much possibility for personalization here. You can fence off the space however you want, and then there's a catalog of biome building tools that you can use. Do you want it to be grass, swamp, desert? Add hills and depressions, ponds or rivers. Do you want a savanna rather than a desert? You can achieve this by adding the appropriate diversity of plants. That emphasis on ecological accuracy really appealed to me. There's no doubt here that the park will distinctly be your own, and you're actually rewarded for building attractive, functional, unique exhibits. Once your park is completed, it's not just about selling tickets and watching a simulation play out. This game remains more hands-on throughout. You need to focus on the individual happiness of each dinosaur. There's mechanics like privacy, where the guests want to be able to see the dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs want to chill now and again. Rather than just maximizing cash, you do want to favor the dinosaur. By making the dinosaur happy, you earn these additional points that unlock new tech trees. Guests are also more likely to leave you favorable reviews if the dinosaurs were happy, which leads into the fact that there's very fun, involved guests, and they leave these Yelp-like reviews you can look at to see what you're doing right and wrong. There's no direct humor in this game, but you can zoom right in next to your dinosaurs, look at their googly eyes, and even equip them with hats if you want. The game has well-crafted tech trees as well as a mining minigame to help you unlock additional dinosaurs to breed. You'll consistently be juggling a lot of tasks that make you feel like Batman. No wait, sorry, wrong game. These tasks make you feel involved and busy throughout. I would say this game more than the others would appeal to all ages. 2 Point might have a little bit too crude of humor, Megaquarium might not be attention-grabbing enough for young players. The game isn't without its issues. Well, of course you can pick up and move things, you can't actually store them. that can be kind of frustrating if you're trying to move things around. If you decide to tip a particular area from boreal to rainforest, you end up having to destroy a large amount of it rather than saving it for later. When your dinosaurs are extra unhappy, they will make attempts to escape. I wish the game did a little bit more to alert you of escaping dinosaurs. That seems like it would be a very major event. And there's also no undo and redo buttons, which seem like they would be very common in a game like this. Like I said, the game is early access. Updates seem to be rolling out fairly regularly. It is sandbox mode only for now. The story is coming. Mod and workshop support are both planned, but neither are integrated yet. A few bonus things that this game had going for it was a digging minigame, which a lot of people have said they find quite fun. There's expansive tech trees to explore through both science and your happiness points from your dinosaurs. You get to hop down into a first-person perspective to tranquilize the dinosaurs when they escape. And on top of an already seemingly limitless variety of ways to personalize your park, you can also paint up your buildings and things like that for that additional little flair. And one thing that appeals to me, which might not matter to a lot of people, this is only a two-man dev team. What they've accomplished is very incredible, and I would love to support that further. So with that, I hope I've given you enough information to make your own decision about which TYCOON game is going to be right for you. Everyone's going to be looking for something a little bit different, so even though Parkasaurus was my personal pick, it might not be yours. I tried to paint as comprehensive of a picture as I possibly could, but like I said, this was originally going to be a much larger video, so I do have other things to share. If anyone has any questions or comments, please share them. I'd like to do my best to inform your purchasing decisions, so I'll be sure to answer any questions about these games that I feel fit to answer. If you're interested, I am doing a playthrough of Parkasaurus starting now, so the first episode of that will be coming out shortly, and as I'm very much enjoying the game, I plan to run that series for the foreseeable future. It's just delightful. The link will be in the end card. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.